Since my last video of passing the N1, a lot of people have been asking, what is the best Japanese content to immerse with? Today I present to you the Japanese immersion content tier list. With 15 different categories, I'm going to talk about my recommendations and my personal favorite content for learning Japanese. Starting with beginner material, by which I mean content made in beginner Japanese specifically for learners. The issue with using them as the source material in your immersion approach is that you're limiting the speed of progress of your listening comprehension. Speakers often speak very slowly, with odd pacing and over-enunciation that wouldn't exist in more natural Japanese. Overall, it has its uses, but because of its flaws and the fact that it self-imposes a limit on how good you can get with it, I'm going to say it's not very good for immersion learning, and I'm going to give it a C. If you were looking for something easier to immerse with, try finding content for native speakers that is more simplistic, like the slice of life genre from the next category, anime. This might be your reason for learning Japanese in the first place, and it definitely was at least part of mine. I've seen anime be criticized for not being real Japanese by some learners, but I don't think it's that big of a deal as long as you make a mental note to not speak like an anime character when you speak in Japanese. Depending on the genre, the vocabulary used can actually be quite normal, and the typical linear storytelling will help you understand what's going on as you're building up your understanding of the language. In addition, anime typically has amazing vocal clarity and enunciation that'll help you learn early on when it's harder to make out words. All that being said, anime does sometimes suffer from large gaps in language density, like during fight scenes, and the complaint about it being unnatural Japanese isn't wholly without merit. I'm going to put it in A tier. Next up is the source material of most anime, manga. Essentially anime in text form, you won't be surprised when I put this in A tier, but you will be surprised when I actually put it in B. The reasoning for this is I think the jump from reading manga and reading other native written Japanese is larger than watching and understanding anime and watching and understanding other spoken Japanese. It's a great way to transition into reading though, and I use it for that purpose. I also love it, and it's fun to read even if your reading speed isn't that high. In the spirit of reading, next up we have visual novels. I will admit, if I only had one medium of Japanese content to use, I would probably choose visual novels. For one thing, people have achieved amazing results by just reading visual novels, and there's a great mix of both text and audio. However, and this is kind of a subjective thing, I prefer focusing on one skill or the other, and I don't like mixing them as I feel like it might be kind of suboptimal. Also, depending on the game, you might find yourself stuck on a more gamey portion where you're not reading or listening much at all. I give this an A tier. Next up is playing non-story games and non-VNs in Japanese, and this goes straight into F tier. The reason why is that FPSs and RPGs don't really want you to read anyways, and even if there is some reading in the menus, if you've already played the game, you'll have it memorized, so you're not going to find yourself straining to read Japanese. This immersion content is like the attractive person at the party offering you a cute smile and a cigarette. Don't do it. And if you match that description, listen, leave a comment. I have a Discord. We can set in your system language to Japanese. Now you might think this is just like the game, that it's not worth it at all because you can already navigate your phone or laptop without reading. While I somewhat agree, this actually has more value than the games because the opportunity cost is basically nothing. You're probably going to be using your phone anyway to text your friend, watch some brain rot, maybe study your vocab, and now you're getting a tiny little bit of Japanese input. If that doesn't convince you, you also get the social interaction of telling anyone that glances at your phone for 1 second that you are actually super smart and understand Japanese at a native level. D tier. Next up is music. Listen, I love Japanese music. I played Japanese music rhythm games before I started learning. When I started learning, I would walk to work and listen to Japanese music. I even studied the vocabulary of some songs early on to understand them. But music does have a few issues for immersion. Because of the nature of lyrics, you're not always going to have normal Japanese. And even if the lyrics themselves are fine, lyrics in any language can be pretty easy to mishear and misinterpret, so I wouldn't use it as a learning tool. However, it's still definitely good for motivation, and it can be fun to learn in bite-sized pieces. C tier. Now on to YouTube. YouTube is amazing because you can find high-density, very natural Japanese based on any topic that you're interested in, so it's tailored to your learning. This is an easy S tier. If you're struggling to find content in a category, try Google translating whatever keywords you want and putting that into the search bar. I also recommend making a new account or channel that you only watch Japanese videos in, because the algorithm will start working and you'll find your new favorite content just in Japanese. In a similar vein, we have podcasts. This goes right with YouTube in the S tier for the same reasons as before. The only downside is it might be harder to find a podcast in Japanese than you expect. If you are looking for one on YouTube, try the keyword rajio next to your search term, as I found podcasto will land you on more learner-focused content. As the last category of this sort of internet-focused section, we have live streams. Live streams can also be very useful content for immersion, but in comparison to podcasts and YouTube, they fall off slightly. This is because any dead moments in a stream with low dialogue can mean you're wasting your time that could have been spent immersing in something else. A tier. Now we'll talk about drama. Drama here refers to basically anything scripted and live action. Like anime, I think it's great content for learning because it's usually based on a linear story, and you get the added benefit of seeing how people gesture, their facial reactions, and everything. I'm going to give it a strong A tier. I know that a big issue for watching drama compared to anime is that it's hard to find good shows, so I'll put a link to my drama list page in the description if you want inspiration on that. There's also quite a few drama getting put on Netflix recently, so you could try browsing the Japanese language category on there as well. Now for LNs and novels. I'm going to review these together because as an audio-focused learner, my opinions on these are about equal. I think that if you are trying to improve reading speed as fast as possible, these are the way to go. Light novels that are targeting that sort of early teen range will have more casual Japanese and dialogue, whereas the higher range stuff will have more complex and formal Japanese. They are both S tier in their ability to improve your reading speed, so they both go there. Here's what I really like. Reality shows, straight to S tier. This is my favorite form of immersion content, and I think it doesn't get shouted out enough. The benefit of Japanese reality shows in particular is that they all tend to have hosts that react to the content with you. So they'll show people interacting like on a Western show, and then cut to a studio where a cast of comedians and influencers react for you. This creates what I feel to be an amazing immersion environment because you get to process general unscripted conversations with reactions back and forth, and then a third party reacts as well. It allows you to build that frame on how people communicate in Japanese, what is considered normal, weird, cool, really fast. After watching reality shows, I personally saw jumps in my output abilities in Japanese. They might be harder to follow for beginners though, because there's so much dialogue, so look out for that. There's also a surprisingly high amount of options for this category. If you like cute older people dating for the first time in 20 years, there's that. If you like big sweaty men, there's actually a pretty new one about that. The music is really killer in that one, by the way. And I think that's the video. Oh, right. Listen, alright, I was curious, so I tried it. And while curiosity didn't kill the cat didn't learn much Japanese either. This is basically just anime and manga, but with less language density and word variety. On the other hand, where else are you going to see the word byakuzai in the wild? This is B tier. Unfortunately, I am 100% confident somebody is going to be faster than me while learning with this. So, that's the list. I know a lot of it is at the top. I'm a positive guy, right? I'm sorry. Now that we've ended the tier list, remember that all forms of input are a good thing. I think anything like B and up could honestly be used to get to full proficiency. The most important part is that you're having fun with the language, and that whatever you choose to consume, you can do it somewhat regularly. If you disagree with me on the tier list, I am always 100% right, but you can leave a comment down below, and I will read it. I love reading the comments. Last of all, I want to say, oh my damn! Thank you for all the support on my first video. A girl even came up and asked for my autograph today. It was for my medication, but anyways, next Friday I have an absolutely insane video for you, so I hope to see you there. It's not about Japanese, but it's really interesting, I think. Alright, see ya. I've played many hours of Marvel Rivals in Japanese, and all I learned was Chou no mai yo kurae. That was kind of shit.